Good morning and welcome to Rise and 9. It's Friday, February 20th.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Charles Hart is here, fresh from the mobile weather lab all morning.
My brain feels a little mush right now. I've been sitting in a car for the last 2.5 hours, but hey, it was to make sure the folks at home know what they're expecting heading out the door this morning. So,
yeah, we really appreciated you and photojournalist Sam Hickson did a great job showing us road conditions all across the area.
Yes, there was a lot to talk about this morning, and it really varied on where you were. I know I really honed in on that right there, that it really depended on where you were. It's like throughout the morning we're seeing a little bit more of some of those main roads, which is good news. It means the plows are, it's working, the plows, but the wind was blowing like crazy.
No.
A lot of those back roads were fully covered. Even some of the main roads were fully covered. You had to come in from Marion this morning, fully covered there. I was in from just northeast Cedar Rapids, fully covered there.
Yeah.
So, lots to talk about.
Yeah, and of course, it's a first alert day, so Justin had a really busy morning keeping tabs. I know our producers, everybody worked so hard this morning to get all of that coverage out to you. Even one of our producers was out shooting video out in front of the station. So a big team effort just to give people a look at the roads. And it was something this morning, especially when you consider that just 3 days ago on Monday, I guess 4 days ago now, it was like 70
in the 60s
degrees.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
Yes, I mentioned on the morning show, my kids were outside in shorts blowing bubbles. Felt like a summer day.
I had shorts on.
Yeah.
If you try to wear shorts today, it might be a little different.
Somebody might try, but
exactly.
It's a big swing, so just something that, we knew this was coming. And we know it's Iowa, it's February, you're going to drive in winter weather, but it's just so different from what roads look like just a few days ago. So, great to have that perspective. Of course, a lot of schools canceled today. Started out, we were just seeing some delays this morning. That was all it was until it got further and farther into the show. And I think, seeing those mobile weather lab pictures and the roads were getting worse and worse as the morning went on. And so, a lot of schools then made that decision to go ahead and cancel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And some of the big points we were really focusing on this morning while out in that mobile weather lab was, it all sounds cliche, but you can never say it too much. Slow down. Give yourself some extra room in between you and the car in front of you. Let those plows work, you know. And so, of course, we thank all the hardworking plows, the drivers out there making sure that we have a safe commute.
Yeah, all I did was turn from my driveway onto my neighborhood street this morning, and I slid a little.
Did you slid already?
Just
I
did a little bit.
too.
Not even going fast.
We did in the mobile weather lab. We saw.
Yeah, it was slick.
And I know I mentioned this morning. We were on First Avenue, crossing 16th, I believe it was, over by that Maverick. Yeah. Over by the Castle Motors, and a car was just kind of out in the middle of the intersection for whatever reason, and I think we realized it was probably because they slid too far.
Oh,
and so I thought, they're just waiting to turn probably, but no, they ended up going straight, and I was like, ooh,
there.
So that shows you right there, you want to start braking a lot earlier, and we were driving probably about 5 to 10 miles an hour under the speed limit for most of the morning, so that just shows you right there how careful you have to be.
Yeah, I was talking with Justin on one of the commercial breaks, and we were talking about how, it rained first. So you had it rain first, then you had the temperatures drop, you had the snow start. So it did kind of make for more slick maybe than typical. Yeah. But also some areas got a lot of snow. I wrote this down because this was crazy to me. Fredericksburg saw 15 inches.
15?
15 inches. Waukoma, 14 inches. And Justin was describing to me, you just go a 10-minute drive and how much significantly less snow there was. So that just really shows where that band hit. Some people really got smacked with a lot of snow.
It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's something.
That's also why I kept saying this morning, it really just depends where you're at.
Yeah, and you mentioned you saw plows. We were watching on Iowa 511, of course, tracking those Iowa DOT snow plows. Hundreds out this morning, 400, I believe, maybe even up to 500 at one point across the state. So those drivers working so hard as the snow just kept falling. And, it was interesting you mentioned, because I drove in, like you said, from Marion, and the roads were very covered. We come in, middle of the night time, so, not as much out and about. But, I was the only tire tracks on in lots of parts of the road that looked like I was the first one there. I know, But then you got more into the metro area, kind of closer to, Lindale Mall, downtown Cedar Rapids area, and they were more wet at that point.
They were.
Yeah.
I think the one road that we saw that was looking probably the best was First Avenue. Because I know towards the end of our shows this morning, we kind of hovered around a little closer to the station on First Ave down by the Alliant Energy Powerhouse. Those were probably the best I saw the roads all morning. Yeah. Was on First Avenue.
More traveled there.
Exactly. But even some roads like Edgewood, which we also hovered around, we kind of took a few loops around kind of the same area this morning. Edgewood was partially to fully covered. Collins, for the most part, you were seeing some of the tire tracks, but that was the best you could see, really. So,
Be careful.
I'll say it again. It really depended on where you were, which is crazy, given you're in the same city. But it's just different.
Yeah, and then we heard from Officer Dobbs last month about, driving in these snowy conditions, Officer Tom Dobbs with the Marion Police Department. And this kind of applies to today as well. So we re-aired this soundbite this morning, just reminding people how careful you do need to be. So his quote said, if it says 65, and that's a sunny day when it's like 60 degrees, but you put any kind of precipitation, freezing rain, wintry mix, snow, whatever's falling down on the road, that's going to come between you and your tires. So please be mindful of that and keep the speed down. And you mentioned it several times throughout the morning. And, people know that, but it's easy to get comfortable. If you're in a little spot where it maybe doesn't seem so bad, you come up on some of those intersections, turns, bridges, it gets really slick.
Exactly. It can really catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. So that's why a lot of the things we say throughout the morning, we say it multiple times. Just whatever we can do to trigger that, cautionary mindset, we're going to say it. So
and Officer Dobbs also mentioned, maybe having a winter driving kit in your car, even though, it's felt like spring a few days ago. It is still winter, so that can include batteries.
Still February, right?
Yes, charger for your phone, that's a good one. Blankets, clothing, just in case you were to get, stalled or in some kind of incident where you can't drive, have some things in your vehicle.
Exactly. It never hurts, the blanket and all that good stuff that you were just mentioning. And also, been a busy morning for Iowa State Patrol and any first responders, really, I'm sure.
Yeah, Iowa State Patrol put out numbers from yesterday. They said from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Thursday, they responded to 30 crashes that had 6 people hurt. And of course, this is all happening as people are traveling to and from the state wrestling tournament in Des Moines. Wrestling, always a big deal in Iowa. Hundreds of people will be headed out that direction. And so we heard from some fans this morning on the morning show who are like trying to decide what to do because we know snow is coming, but then, if our loved one is competing in another round later, we don't want to not be able to get here.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, just with such a big event happening in the state in Des Moines and people trying to have to deal with what to do.
I know, and we can only tell you so much, so it's like really up to your discretion, and you just got to be so careful.
Yeah, and because the system started as rain in Des Moines, the DOT was saying that they wouldn't be able to pre-treat the roads there in central Iowa where the state tournament is until that transition to snow, which happened there in Des Moines on Thursday evening. So that's kind of why fans were in limbo, like, do I get out before or do I wait knowing that more snow, it's going to turn to snow? So we did hear from fans who were like, winter weather's one thing, but we're going to be here. We're going to be here to cheer them on. I will say, if you can't make it or don't want to travel to the state tournament, we are going to be airing that tonight on KCRG 9.2. You can watch from the safety and warmth of your living room. That's Class 1A, 2A, 3A semifinals starting at 5 tonight.
That sounds nice with a hot cup of coffee and some state wrestling. But I totally understand if you have a loved one competing.
Yeah,
nothing beats being there.
Right.
So if you are traveling to Des Moines, just be so careful and slow down a little bit. Give yourself, you got to probably leave earlier than you expected.
Yeah.
So.
Or maybe you got there already and just found a hotel for the night.
Exactly. Then you're good.
You're good to go. But lots to consider this morning with it being a school day, with the state tournament going on. People trying just to get into work just need to be very careful out there on the roads.
Yeah, the nice thing is there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know Justin was saying the snow is really only going to hang around for the morning hours, I believe it was, correct?
Yeah, it's supposed to get much better. So
good.
Still cold this weekend, though.
Yes,
I mean, nothing like what we saw earlier this week.
It'll be a nice weekend to stay inside.
Yeah, we'll be in for a little bit of a cold snap, but then towards the end of next week is looking like we're going to see more of those 50s.
Sun and 40s, and so it'll feel
we'll get there.
A bit better.
Getting closer to March.
Yeah, exactly. Exciting.
Well, thank you for joining us on this special edition of Rise and 9. Have a great day.